Hey there, it's Andre, the impulsive thinker back. I brought Molly Thompson back because we were talking one day about confidence, and she said something about how when she joined Strategic Coach program, entrepreneurial program that we're both in, um, had a lot to do with her confidence. And I wanted her to come and join me and for us to have this conversation. This is kind of like a coffee chat here. And Molly Thompson, she was on episode 153 where she shared her ADHD journey and her and her husband, her and her
That's a
husband
lot.
run Perrysburg Energy. It's a creative energy solutions company that's focused on LED, solar, and energy procurement. So, Molly, thanks again for coming back on the
Thank you for
show.
having me.
What's really enjoyable with you is you're just not afraid to throw something out there and think it through. Like that's tough. I really like to see your quick start shining out here. And you're not ashamed to put something silly out there and discuss it. And I really appreciate that in you.
Thanks. I think that's part of my creativity is I like to just throw stuff out there and either blow shit up. Oh, sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but sorry. Sorry, people. Excuse me. Sorry, mom. I don't know if I like to do that because my goal is to like stir the pot and challenge the status quo because over the years of, just being around and looking at things, the status quo doesn't always work or fit, and certainly not for
Not
me
for
as
you.
someone
Yeah.
neurodivergent.
So again, I think you got a good point there. The listeners got to take away here is the one thing that she's saying, she's not afraid to put it out there. So she's not letting her ego get in the way or her self-image. I'm the same way. I don't care looking silly as long as I learn something and then
Mm-hmm.
not to hold back. And that's how your creativity comes out. And, I really don't like seeing other people's creativity because they self shove it down because they don't want to be perceived as different or afraid of maybe saying something silly, which is fine. The silliest things I've ever said is the most biggest solutions that generated a solution because it was out there. So
It's amazing, isn't it?
yeah. So start us off on this confidence thing. Why you wanted to talk about this?
I think that over the years, this has been such a, I don't know how else to say it, like magical, since getting my diagnosis last year, it's been, like an epic journey for me because all of a sudden my whole life makes sense. Like how I'm wired and just
Right.
everything makes sense.
But
So
you
I
find,
see,
but this is you start strategic coach prior to that though, right? Is that
yes,
where it
I started
started your
it
transition?
like 5 months before that, but I was
Okay.
really like when I registered, it was at least 6 or 8 months, but I was in like a year before that. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, I got to do this. I totally got to do this. So I was kind of in that looking for, because I have a growth mindset and I saw this as this seems like people who are like me.
Right.
And so that's what it was. And I was super drawn to that. So when I got into it, it was really awesome. And then I had my first session, my first workshop. It was great. And then before my second workshop, I almost dropped out
Mm-hmm.
because I just had like, it felt like the world. And that's when I had just like maybe a week before gotten my ADHD diagnosis. And I was like crippled. I just was like, oh my God, I don't fit in. I can't do this. And it was just a lot coming at me at once. And then we were kind of in
Overwhelmed.
the valley of,
Mm-hmm.
just like, where are we going to go with the business? What are we going to do? And it was a lot. So I just felt like I lacked the confidence to take ownership of this company
Mm-hmm.
and had started looking into that. So I looked at it as I did not have the confidence to keep going. And now I have a framework and I have a language to describe how I'm wired, which is,
Mm-hmm.
ADHD, neurodivergence, all of that. But I'm kind of purposefully shifting gears and making a big change in my life, or that's when I took
Right.
that.
But the one thing you told me was actually, what did coach give you? What did strategic coach give you?
Oh, look, confidence or a framework for confidence.
Right.
Because, yeah. So it was like, I didn't think I fit in. And
Mm-hmm.
I just looked at it like, I'm a fraud. I don't belong here, kind of like that, because I compared myself to everybody else instead of
Right.
looking at where I was.
And then what you actually said was confidence that you never had before you joined Coach
Yes. Yeah. As a business owner.
as a business owner. But I want to call
Mhm.
bullshit on that. You always
Oh,
had that
good.
confidence. You
So
just never saw it.
that's what I wanted to have this conversation about, because I think I'm in a place where I can be a lot more self-curious instead of self-critical.
Right.
And I have this framework for confidence where before it was, I'll be confident when I achieve these results instead of diving into it. So I had confidence, like socially, I'm a very confident person. I can go into a room and talk to anybody, from someone who is, cleaning the space to the CEO. I can talk to anybody. And so I have that confidence, but I didn't have that confidence necessarily as a business owner.
Well, you didn't have that confidence talking to anyone randomly at one point in your life.
Well, no, that is true. And I actually remember the point when I started, like, I grew up in a very social family, so I was confident around people I knew. But I do remember that point where I said, I'm going to go play a game and see how many strangers I can talk to just for fun. Like, in my head, I had that
Right.
conversation.
But you had some nerves before doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind
So
of like I have a little bit of that jangly nerves right now, because I'm like, I know you and I know you're going to pull stuff out of this, which is exciting. But it's like, okay, I need to have this conversation and get this out, because I don't know if anyone else experiences this or not.
I think everyone does. And I think this is where, when we sent me the framework for this conversation, it wasn't really making sense. And I think I just figured it out, because you just said it
Oh,
a few
good.
times there, is I don't have the confidence to do something, which
Mm,
is true. And I don't know if it's a society thing or the way we just, how it's taught, but it almost seems like for you to do anything, you need to have the confidence to do it. And then I look back, my greatest achievements is actually when I had no confidence. I had poo in my pants. I was afraid,
mm-hmm.
right? And then now we got to, you're in strategic coach, so am I. And you brought this up too a little bit. Here's what strategic coach, they have this model, the 4 C's.
Yep.
Okay. 4 C's of growth. For anything to happen, you need to commit to a goal. Then you need the courage to attack the goal. In order to learn that new capability, you need to have the courage and the commitment.
Yep.
And at the end, then you gain the confidence to do that goal.
Right. Because you develop that muscle.
Right. But confidence is at the end,
Correct.
not at the front.
Right.
So a lot of us, we were raised, you need the confidence before you do anything.
Yep.
Like this, I think there's a difference because I got the confidence I can achieve anything I want. But once I set that goal, I don't have confidence in that goal.
Yeah.
Until I commit. And everything I've done, like when I quit smoking cold turkey, I talked about it. I was really great at quitting and starting, right? But when I made that final commitment 2 hours before my first daughter was born, I'm no longer smoking. That gave me the courage
Yep.
to move and then learn the capability of staying smoke free. And it gives me the confidence now to say, hey, I can not continue smoking.
So, so this keeps coming up for me is, yes, I agree with the 4 C's, and having that framework has been amazing, because I see this, and I'm somebody who has resisted predictability my entire life,
Mm-hmm.
because to me, predictability and structure in my world were the opposite of creativity. Like, it stifled my creativity. I see now that is absolutely not the case, but it's taken me a long time to get there. But so there's that, the structure and the predictability part. And that's part of what the 4 C's model provided. But up until recently, like maybe last month, or the last month, something else has come out of it, and it's communication. So if things get really scary for me, I tend to go in my head. And I just, like, if I isolate. And I think that the best thing I can do when that happens is to just talk to somebody and start having a conversation and get in communication. So maybe that is collapsed on top of this.
Yeah, that's surrounding yourself with the right community and the right people.
Well, that's a part of it for sure. Yeah.
And like the thing is, I think like just looking at the dictionary definitions here, we got confidence, which is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, firm trust. This is all from Google. And what I'm also hearing from you, I don't think it's confidence that you're referring to. What I believe, what you're referring to is self-confidence, which I think are two different things. Self-confidence from Google is a feeling or trust in one's abilities, qualities, and judgment. And you were specifically referencing goals, 10xing the company.
Yep.
You don't have the confidence to hang out with a bunch of other entrepreneurs. You don't have the confidence to get into a new industry. Those are all goals. So if we want to bring it to the self-confidence part, you do have confidence in yourself to achieve these. Right? Now, when we start having self-doubt, then our self-confidence comes in, tries to sabotage it because we're trying to do something that's not normal to what the brain sees as a comfort level.
Right.
And I think there's a difference between confidence achieving a goal versus the self-confidence to do things.
I feel like I should be lying down on a couch right now. A little bit of therapy, but this is great. And this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because you're so gifted at pulling things out, as I've shared with you before. And I gave a talk last year about why personal confidence matters more than anything in entrepreneurship. And maybe that's what you're speaking to, is that self-confidence, but you have to have goals kind of with that. So,
and you have to have faith in yourself.
Yeah.
You gotta believe in yourself.
This is really interesting. I have, and there was a long time when I did not, like I questioned faith, like my own faith in myself, because I just operate differently from other people.
Yes.
And, particularly in my own family, like, I was the odd man out, and it was like, we may have talked about this, but it's like the formula for success is you're well educated, you go to the good schools, you get a good job, and that equals success. That was not the case for me because I went to great schools. I was very fortunate in that regard, but my confidence was shitty. Sorry, I did it again.
That's fine.
But I had very, and maybe there's a difference between low self-esteem and low self-confidence, but it was, that wasn't there because I think at the time I just didn't have the tools to say, I don't fit in with everybody and that's okay.
Okay. It's not self-confidence. You got it. It's self-esteem.
Yep.
Love it. Love it.
That's great.
Thank you. Because self-esteem is confidence in one's own worth or abilities, self-respect. And with the 4Cs model, is usually it's task-oriented or goal-oriented. So you need the commitment too.
Yep. But the communication is critical for that, because if I'm talking to other people and they validate me, that's really important. So finding the people.
That's part of the process.
Yeah.
I would say. Because we got to communicate the goals. You got to effectively, I think it's a task within the model, I would say. It's an important part.
But let me ask you this. You say we've got to communicate the goals, but I wonder how often people do that, because I'm really good at creating really big.
That's why we got to write it down. With the ADHD brain, we need to write it down so we can see it or talk it outside to someone so we can hear it, so it can be processed.
But that's why I added in communication, because sometimes I just need time to process things in my own head.
That's how you do things.
That is how I do things.
That's how you do things, which is part of the process to achieving to the confidence, achieving to the commitment, the courage, and the capability.
So here's something though, when I think before, when I was younger, or at some point when I would then communicate to other people, here's my goal. Like in the maybe mid 90s, I came up with this idea that I really needed a personal assistant.
Mm-hmm.
I was not an entrepreneur then. I just knew that I had all this stuff, this like mental head trash that I needed to get out, and I need somebody else to do that. Well, I went to people in my life, and they all said, "That's stupid. Why would you get a personal assistant? Like, you don't have your own company.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that?" So I got talked out of it. So part of that was then, okay, I'm going to keep all that stuff to myself. But really, I just didn't have the right people that I was communicating that to.
Right.
Like right.
So you telling me get a personal assistant? Yeah, for sure. Go for it. That
right.
makes sense.
Right.
Because especially with the ADHD brain, if we stick to what we do well, we can do that all day. We'll be very productive. But when we're stuck doing stuff we don't like, it takes forever. And that's where our frustrations come from. But guess what? I just found a new assistant. What she told me in the interview was, I love the mundane.
Oh my God.
My head just went crazy. Are you crazy? You serious? You love the mundane? How crazy are you? I went, wait. Stop. I need her. She loves the mundane.
Say, can you send her over my way? Please?
No. But what you're not good at, someone else is really great at, and they enjoy it.
So to that point, though, the mundane, I get bored really easily. I know we've talked about this, and I think that is probably a trait, particularly in the, high achieving ADHD community and the mundane. But I grew up like the mundane's part of the deal. Like
we have to chug through.
You have to suck it up, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and do the mundane. So that's what slowed me down and decreased my confidence that I can run a business, but it also really decreased my self-esteem.
Well, I think it decreased your self-esteem, which would affect you committing to gain confidence. And again, I'm going to bring back, because you always bring this confidence. I need the confidence first to do anything. And I think this is where we fail.
This is exactly what Dan talks about.
This is where we fail. We need the confidence to do it. Well, that means you have the capability already. That means you already went through the courage and you already committed. So, and I'm hearing that from my girls too.
That's awesome.
I need to do all this thing before I can do it because I don't know it. No, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Right. That's, what they say is, what's the difference between courage and fear? Fear is shitting your pants, and courage is actually doing something with shit in your pants. Right.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of the conversation with you is, we're always putting the confidence first. And you were talking about how you talk yourself out of, which is your self-esteem, which is also a form of self-respect.
Yep.
But at the same time, I think lack of confidence is also key to growth for us. Because I'm reflecting back, every time I did something huge, I did not know what I was doing. I was afraid, and but because I made the commitment to go through.
I'm doing that right now.
Either I was fighting society or fighting a wrong. I barreled through, but that took the courage, and then I got the new capability. And yes, if I'm going to use that capability later, yes, I think that's where maybe people are misunderstanding. I need the confidence first, because once you're doing the same things over and over, the first time you talk to people, you were nervous. The second time, not so much. Well, you gain that capability. So no longer do you need to have the commitment and the courage to learn a new capability. That's why you have the confidence, because you already went through the three quickly. And you feeling, okay, I need the confidence first, but it's the other way around.
We're working on this big project right now that at least in our region hasn't been done before.
Mm-hmm.
And simultaneously, we're in the process of 10xing our business. The first maybe 10 times I said it, I really didn't know what 10xing my business meant. Like I just like conceptualized, like, I get that, I want to do that. And I started, like, I committed, right? So I was doing it, and I'm still learning. Like it's a
you don't have the capability yet.
We're in the process of it. And we're in the middle of it. So we're kind of like,
so you don't exactly
have the training wheels on.
Yeah. And then that's the other thing too, like you were saying earlier, I think there's a difference between confidence and getting out of your head.
Oh, so I learned this phrase a couple of years ago, mental head trash.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like, man, I need that garbage bin nearby, because I got to empty it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
How quickly things get in there and how much I keep in there.
Well, that's how much you keep in there. And then with our
Yep.
racing ADHD brain, it gets to that negative talk a lot quicker than most.
Yep.
I have a feeling. I just came up with that now. I think that makes a lot of sense too. So, because you have a lack of confidence, a lack of self-esteem, and the fact that you're actually going to try and achieve a goal that's going to disrupt the brain's comfort level of normal, your normal, that change in comfort, your brain is actually trying to protect you by doing the self-negative talk, challenging your self-esteem. And I think with our brain just goes
Yep.
all of a sudden, where everyone else is like, okay, after a couple of minutes, you have 2 or 3 bad negative thoughts, and now you got enough time to know that's crap. Just ignore it. We've already gone probably through 2,000 reasons not to do it in 5 seconds. And you're like, oh, what the hell, man? No point. So that's why I think there's a difference where the confidence and the negative self-talk there's a difference. And getting out of your head is also key out of it.
Yep. But that's where communication comes in. Like, there have to be people that you can talk to, or some way, some outlet to get that stuff out of your head. Like, I just don't have the ability to necessarily get out of maybe it's listening to a podcast, finding those coping mechanisms to say, oh, I'm doing that thing again. I'm filling up the mental trash bin. I got to let it go. Whether it's talking to somebody or listening to a podcast, going for a walk, whatever that is.
And again, it comes down to community. I know if I wasn't around the right entrepreneurs, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
100%.
I wouldn't have an assistant.
Yep.
I wouldn't be doing less tactical, mundane work. I'm sticking to my unique ability. I'm helping my team grow. And you talk to anyone out there, oh, that's ridiculous. Don't be doing that kind of stuff. You got to do this, you got to do that. And I'm actually working less, but we're being more profitable.
Yep. That's what we're working on. And it goes against the grain of our entire society, right?
Right. In every book that we read.
So there is, I mentioned this before, but you can go to any outlet and say, like, how do I be successful as an ADHD entrepreneur? And they'll be like, be around the right people. But what does that mean? Right? Like, it's very prescriptive, but because I'm a very experiential person.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's very important. Like, being around other entrepreneurs is not it for me. It's being around other entrepreneurs, like in the strategic coach community. Maybe some are ADHD, maybe some aren't, but it's the thinking around it. Because I've been in lots of other entrepreneurial programs. I've led entrepreneurial programs, and it's in a very linear, logical, not the way I think. And it wasn't, in the end, while I learned great stuff out of it, it's not how I learn. It's not how I am. It's not how I'm wired. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think the big difference for me with Strategic Coach and the other firms or entrepreneurial groups I was in, I know my wife's in one that's kind of similar, but the thing that's similar is it's a supportive community. It's not, we're comparing, our pocketbooks. I make 10 million, you make 9, you're not good. Or I'm going to go to the person who's making multi-million dollars and learn from them and do what they're told.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of posturing in a lot of different
there
groups.
Is, and there's a lot of like, I'm in this entrepreneurial group so I can help fix you and tell you how to do better.
Yeah.
But I don't need that. I don't need anyone.
No.
In fact, I'm the opposite. I don't want you to tell me how to do something. I need to know what there is to do and then get out of my way so I can do it. Because I know I work differently and I'm way more efficient. I had a job once where at the end of the day, at the end of whatever, 2 or 3 years, I got fired because I was working like maybe 10 hours a week. And I raised so much money for this organization that they couldn't spend it. It was a nonprofit, and it made they were furious because they wanted someone who would clock in at 8 and clock out at 5. And I'm like, 10 hours a week, and I'm raising more money that they couldn't spend it and had to give it back. Yeah. And that made them look bad, and it made them feel bad because they didn't understand it.
Yeah. So surrounding yourself with like-minded, supportive entrepreneurs and even like for us as growth mindset, like they all got to have the same type of goals. Like the groups that we're discussing, that's not a fit for us, is a fit for a lot of other entrepreneurs. And we're not
Yes,
saying it's not bad to be in there. It's just for me and for you, it's different. For them, it might be
correct.
supportive. For them, it might be
Yep,
what they need. So,
yep.
and for me, this is my third group I'm in, the longest, but I had to go through the first two to get to understanding and getting the confidence to hang out with successful people. And where I like to say is I like to be the dumb one in the room. And a lot of times I am the dumb one in the room because I learn more.
But you have to have a high enough self-esteem to know that being the dumbest one in the room is motivating for you, not debilitating, right?
Yes.
So to your earlier point about self-esteem, which is also developing a capability,
Mm-hmm.
like you have to be able to, be around like-minded people without feeling inferior, like feeling motivated
Right.
rather than,
Yeah.
like, oh, there's something wrong with me. So it's all interrelated, I think.
And I think and this is another way I put it, is like, it's my entrepreneurial anonymous group. Hi, I'm Andre, an
That's
entrepreneur. And everyone says, hello, Andre, welcome to the club. Like, that means you're in the right room with the right people.
today I'm going to 10x my business.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
Right. And no one
Awesome.
resists you. That's
Right.
nice. And that's where we got to get in. And that helps the confidence, that helps the self-esteem.
Can I
And
jump in really quickly? Because
yeah,
to that
quickly.
point, okay, my program advisor, Liz Fox, said, what's great about this space for strategic coach is it gives you the space to be who you are, where you are.
Yeah.
I love that. So that for me, like, I need that. I don't want people to tell me what to do. I just need people to say, awesome.
Yeah.
I relate to that.
Yeah. That's good. And with that, that helps build your confidence. You're actually, I almost caught myself. It builds your self-esteem.
Yes.
That builds your self-esteem. And to remember, listeners, you can't have confidence first to achieve audacious goals.
Yep.
You gain the confidence as per the strategic coach 4C's model, which I'll have in the show notes, is you need to make the commitment that you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to go through the courage stage, fear and not knowing, in order to learn the new capability. Once that capability is sorted out, figured out, now you've got the confidence to do it again.
Confidence is a byproduct.
Exactly. And then if you keep
Yep.
repeating that same thing, now you might have the impression it's confidence first, but anything new requires you to gain the confidence, and you got commitment, courage, capability, then confidence. And I know
It's
there's
sort of
been,
like going to the gym. Like you
yeah,
don't go to you don't show up at the gym when you're already in shape. You show
yeah,
up at the gym to develop all that. You commit, and then you go through the like, oh my God, look at all these people. They're so fit and I'm not, whatever that is. But then you start doing things regularly. And that's where like the
yeah, you smart
predictability and
at,
the structure.
you start with the smaller weights and build yourself up. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I think that's a great anecdote to end today's conversation.
Awesome.
Thank you, Molly, for this. And to you, the listener, have you been misinterpreting as requiring confidence first to do anything? Or can you relate to this 4C's model about where confidence is the strategic byproduct? And I'd like to hear your thoughts about this. And thanks again for listening. Molly, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Andre. Great to be here with you as always.
Take care.